Well, I have to say I was not expecting this shock when I woke up this morning. Of course, that is obviously we woke up to the news that the Lib Dems essentially won the Chesham and Amersham by-election. And quite frankly, this is quite big news because there has been, especially down south and in a lot of very strong Tory areas, a very, very interesting trend really since 2016. And again, it's not just the north that has upset electoral patterns since 2016, it's also down south as well. Because a lot of the people who would traditionally vote Tory have become very, very upset with the current direction of the party. They really don't like these free market fundamentalists that have taken over, who are pushing a very far right agenda, even more so than Margaret Thatcher. So last night, we saw over a 30% swing. This was, I think the full swing was like 33%, I think it was, something like that, which is a huge swing. And I mean a huge swing. This was an even bigger swing than what happened in Hartlepool. So make no mistake, where a lot of the papers today and other pundits are trying to downplay this as this, oh, this is just a by-election surprise, this is just a one-off thing. No, this could very well be signalling much of the things to come down south, and the idea of the blue wall could very well be crumbling. But currently, there's just one yellow brick in the wall at the moment. But nevertheless, the trend of Conservative voters abandoning the Conservative Party to going to the Lib Dems because they do not like the extreme direction the Conservative Party is going in is something very interesting and something that we should definitely be paying attention to. So, before we get into today's article though, please do remember to hit that like, share and subscribe button down below. And of course, there are my links to my Patreon page, as well as the one-off donation link called Buy Me Coffee, where you can, well, buy me coffee. And thank you to all those people who do support me that way. Like I say, it's very, very much appreciated. So, on with today's story. And this is, of course, about the by-election. Of course, this comes from The Guardian. And the title is Lib Dems win Chesham and Amersham by-election in a stunning upset. And trust me, it was certainly a stunning upset. So the Liberal Democrats have pulled off an absolutely extraordinary victory in the Buckinghamshire constituency of Chesham and Amersham, taking the formerly safe seat from the Tories in a by-election. In the shock result, the Lib Dem Sarah Green secured 21,517 votes, leaving the Conservative Peter Fleet trailing behind with 13,498, giving the Lib Dems a majority of over 800,000. The contest was called after the death of local MP Cheryl Gillian, who had represented the constituency since 1992 and held it in the 2019 election with a majority of over 16,000. So that is a huge blow. If they held it with that, and even then, those were the numbers. Oh, sorry, that's the majority, but yeah, though, like, that's a really huge, shocking swing. That I cannot understate how big a swing this actually was, and could potentially be a sign of things to come. Because again, it's not just in the north where, like, the Brexit referendum has had a severe impact on British politics. So Ed Daly's party will hope the surprise win shows the swathe of seats across the home counties that could be within their grasp at the next general election. Darley said his party secured a huge swing of at least 25 points to win the Chesham and Amersham, claiming that the Tory blue wall is beginning to crumble. This is a huge victory for the Liberal Democrats, the people of Chesham and Amersham. They have sent a huge shockwave through British politics. We were told that it was impossible for any party to beat the Tories here in Buckinghamshire. We were told that this seat was far too safe and the Tories were far too strong to even contemplate taking this seat. This is a Liberal Democrat win has proved them completely and utterly wrong. Sarah Green said she was left humbled by the faith you have placed in me and has promised she would hold the government to account. This Conservative Party has taken the people from this county for granted for far too long, she said. Speaking on Friday morning, the Policing and Crime Minister, Kit Malthouse, said that the result was very disappointing and that there would be a significant post-match analysis to discover what went wrong. He denied, however, that the Tory party was ignoring its traditional home counties and supporters in favour of creating a new base in the north of England, and said that it was common for governments to lose by-elections. Again, this is part of the narrative that they're trying to paint. That, oh, this is just an anomaly. This is just an anomaly. It's just what happens. But apparently it's not. When they win, places like Hartlepool, that's not an anomaly. So, it's worth pointing out that only just a month ago we had fantastic results across the home counties and the local elections. Not really. Like I said, the big takeaway from the local elections was that the Greens and the Lib Dems made gains at the expense of both the Tories and the Labour Party. And like I say, Labour didn't lose any control of the councils to, Conservatives. They lost Sheffield to the Lib Dems, but overall, no Labour councils really switched to the Conservatives. Again, putting up what we've said before, that the next general election and those red wall seats aren't as safe as the Tories like to think that they are. So, anyway, he continued to say, he told Sky News, so there's some complex things going on here, which people need to understand, and no doubt people at party headquarters will be focusing on the result and trying to understand how we can win Chesham and Amersham back at the next opportunity. It's tough and disappointing, as I say. We would have liked to have hoped for a better result, and we can't pretend anything otherwise, but we've seen this by-election phenomenon before in the past. Our job now is to win back the trust and people of the lovely part of Buckinghamshire. The senior Conservative figures, including the party chair Amanda Mealing, poured into Cheshire and Amersham to try and canvass in the past recent days, but they're determined to try and show that the blue wall across all the home counties remains intact. Boris Johnson also made a visit to the area, to Backfleet earlier this month, telling the local paper, the Bucks Free Press, I think that he's a superb candidate. He's a local man, he's lived here for a while, and has a long career in business. He has a huge amount to offer Parliament and his constituents. The Prime Minister had highlighted the hopes of turning nearby Chilterns into a national park and ensuring the development takes place on brownfield land, not the Greenbelt. But he also claimed that if Fleet won, he would also be the tallest Tory MP. The Bucks Free Press said the candidate who loved to tower over Johnson as they toured the streets was around 6 foot 9 inches. Not 9 foot, that would be huge. The result will alarm Tory strategists at the Conservative HQ. And Johnson has made significant gains from Labour-held areas in the Midlands and in the North East, including snatching Hartlepool from Keir Starmer last month. In a rare gain for a governing party in a by-election. See how it is. It's very rare that a governing party tends to win. But, like I say, and I know a lot of people say, oh, well, this is just an anomaly as well. But if you look at the numbers, the Lib Dems have been making since 2016 very significant gains in these places. So it is not beyond the realms of possibility of what we saw in the north happen down south. It is not beyond the realms of possibility. And remember, everyone said that the north would never, ever vote Tory. So never say never in politics. Anyway, continues. But he also needs to avoid alienating his party's more traditional supporters. Some home country's Tory MPs, including the former Prime Minister Theresa May, who represents Maidenhead, and Denham Green, whose seat is in Ashford in Kent, have also been highly critical of the Conservative policies, including Johnson's reforming plans and his cuts to overseas aid. The Lib Dems appear to have succeeded in picking off disenchanted Conservative voters in Thursday's by-election, and Darby will hope that it marks the beginning of a renaissance for his party, after a very disappointing performance at the 2019 general election. At last month's local elections, the Lib Dems did take control of the Amersham Town Council. You see, the trends are there, the numbers are there to back this up. The Lib Dem activists on the ground had interest in the race for the seat and looked to be completely neck and neck, with former Tory voters on the doorsteps complaining that they felt neglected by the governing party. The Lib Dems said that the government's proposed plans for reforms had also heavily featured in the campaign. Turnout in the by-election was just over 52%, so that's quite good for a by-election. The Green Party candidate Caroline Culver got over 1,480 votes, with Labour's Nashala Paltek receiving just 622. So there is a very, very clear interesting stuff going on in the south at the moment. And like I say, since 2016, the numbers, the political landscape of the UK clearly is in flux. And I think we are still seeing the impacts of 2016 very much in play. And it's very clear that the land has yet still to settle. So just as as many of the Labour people once said, oh, these people in North will never vote Tory, these seats are safe Labour seats. Well, so much for the potential of a blue wall being held. And like I say, at the moment, the Lib Dems putting that first brick in place could be a sign of things to come. So, and of course, the ultimate at the end of the thing of the day, that if Boris wants to appeal more to his northern voters, is this new bloc, then the more he alienates his more traditional voting bloc. And Boris is now stuck in between a rock and a hard place, because the more he swings towards trying to appeal to the northern voters, the more he pushes away his traditional southern base voters. And here's the thing, the Conservatives cannot win or even win a majority if they do not keep both of those happy. And as we've said before, it is impossible to keep these two sets of people happy 100% of the time. Both the North and the South in these seats have very different priorities. So this could be potentially the sign of things to come on our political landscape and how much it's potentially changed. And I tell you now, the Conservative in the HQ are very, very worried and are going to be examining this by-election loss as very, very with a fine-tooth comb. So, as always, thank you for watching. Please do remember to hit that like, share and subscribe button on your way out. And of course, down below there are links to my Patreon page and a one-off donation link called Buy Me Coffee, where you can, well, buy me a coffee. And as always, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you all next time.